Coming up on the DLLS Mavs postgame show, the Mavericks get it done on the road. Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving star in the second half. We break it all down here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. Here we go. Hey, what's up, DLLS Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato, Mavericks analyst Bobby Carella, and our national NBA insider, Marc Stein. We are DLLS Mavs, your favorite guys covering your favorite team every single game night. At Tim_Cato, at Bobby Carella. You can always dial up the Stein line at the Stein line. You can find me on X at Kevin Gray Sports. Your Dallas Mavericks get it done over the Minnesota Timberwolves, 120-114. Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving combining for 59 points as they find a way to get it done. Kyrie Irving, big third quarter, really powered the Mavericks in the second half as the Mavericks win their second straight game and win the rematch as they take out the Minnesota Timberwolves on the road. Once again, a fantastic win for this team coming off of a win last night against Utah. They go on the road and get it done to move to 3-1 on the season, gentlemen. In what was a highly entertaining game on this Tuesday night in the first game of a doubleheader on TNT, gentlemen. How are we feeling after a Mavericks dub?
Great game of basketball. Best one of the season. I know 4 games in. It's not saying that much. Just clearly, this is the team that we expected Dallas to be. They've kind of played junk ball for 4 games, and they're 3-1. That's a great thing. Last thing I want to say, well, I've got a lot of things to say.
I think we got a whole lot more to say.
I think we all have a lot.
What are we doing here?
I got my hopes up at last thing to say.
man. Yeah, I'm gonna peace out right now. Is there any human alive who is more skilled at the game of basketball than Kyrie Irving? I'm not saying he's the best player. He isn't. Like, there are better players than Kyrie Irving. Is there anybody who has mastered the craft of basketball more than this man in Dallas, Kyrie Irving? My goodness, what a player. What a player to watch. What a player.
Any road win in the NBA is really good.
Yeah.
All right. Any win on the second night of a back-to-back is really good. Anytime you can beat a team that's almost definitely going to play game 1 at home, that's really good. You win a game whenever your third best player, Clay, has a kind of a invisible night. That's great. Luka gets hurt. You still win. That's great. Hey, you know what that deserves?
So is this for wins?
Yeah.
It cracks open a cold one on
I guess
every,
I was
after every
at the
dub.
okay,
Yes.
What is
okay.
that you
Yes.
just cracked open?
An unnamed sparkling water.
We don't do free advertisements
Hi,
around
beer
here.
companies, come sponsor us so we can crack open actual cold ones.
Yeah.
So I was not on the pregame show where the world got to see Tim Cato in a ratty, turned around.
Oh my God,
hat.
he's coming out swinging, dude.
Get after him, Stein. Get after him.
But
Let's get after
but
him.
had I been on the pregame show and had we done a honest to goodness poll of the 4 of us and said, do you think the Mavs win this game tonight?
Absolutely not.
Based on the evidence of what we had seen in the first 3 games, I think it is a 4 and out no. And it was.
I'm not sure I agree with that, honestly.
You were picking a Mavs win tonight.
Because Luka. And I went in on the pregame show about how Luka is somebody who rises to the occasion. And he was not his best for a lot of this game. But
What
he
if
rose
I
to the
told you,
occasion.
Tim, what if I told you that in this game, both Luka and Daniel Gafford would leave with injuries? Klay Thompson would shoot 28%, and Ant would have a 24-point first quarter.
Look at Jonathan.
Well, in that
Jonathan
scenario, I
Velasquez
would've
over
said-
here.
I would have
This isn't
said,
a rivalry; it's an ownership.
Let's
Shout out to
go.
Jonathan.
oh my.
Wow,
Let's go.
I like it.
That's not true. The Wolves. Nobody owns the Wolves.
Hey, Stein coming in spicy tonight. I like it.
Stein, that reminds me, I used a very similar line in a past company. I said, amidst the void of the Timberwolves ownership, Luka Doncic is making his case that it should be him.
That was your lead.
It was the kicker of, I think, the third paragraph. Little nut graph. That's a journalism term. Don't read too much into it. I don't know why journalism terms are so sexual, but they are.
Oh my gosh. Let us know in the chat how you're feeling after the Mavericks win tonight as the Mavericks take out the Minnesota Timberwolves. Kyrie Irving with a massive three-pointer that gave him 35 points that made it 112-107 with 2:31 left. And Luka Doncic reminiscing back to that shot that he had in the Western Conference Finals over Rudy Gobert, hits the dagger with 104 left and make it 117-109 over Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who, by the way, him and Jaden McDaniels were trying to win the game for the Minnesota Timberwolves in that fourth quarter. But Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving were having it. Kyrie Irving with 25 points in the second half. We'll talk about more of his third quarter coming up in the next segment. But what stood out to you guys about how the Mavericks were able to get this win? We saw an injury scare from Luka Doncic. He was able to come back in the second half. He suffered what looked like a knee injury, getting hit in the back of the right leg, but at the same time was able to come out and play well in the second half. What stood out to you guys based off of what happened in this game here?
I mean, I could talk for weeks about Luka. He had missed 16 of 17 threes before the 40-footer he made. It was 40, right? I mean, I don't know what the official distance they put on it was, but
it was close.
It was in the ballpark.
It was from St. Paul, just about.
And, since he was drafted, so many people have twisted themselves into pretzels to try to, compare him to Dirk. I think the thing he has most in common with Dirk is he always wants to play hurt. And at halftime, maybe Cato will disagree with me, but I think all of us were like, panic stations everywhere. When are we getting an update? He's not coming back out. And he talked his way into coming back out. He always wants to play no matter what happened. And he gritted through it, lasted the whole game, made the big shot. And as bumpy as these first 4 games have been, especially shooting the ball, we've really, for 4 games, I don't think we've ever seen him have an extended stretch like this. Shooting struggles. But he's made 3 plays in these first 4 games with the 2 over-the-head passes and that 3. Those are going to be on his year-end highlight reel from these first 4 games.
We are going to celebrate the greatness that is Kyrie Irving in the second segment, but I do want it to be noted. Luka leaves the game hurt, comes in to start the third quarter, airballs a 3, goes 0 for 3 in the first 2 minutes. Wolves go from down 2 to up 8 in that. And then Kyrie does the Kyrie thing, which is, my team needs me to become a scorer right now. Otherwise, this is going to be a fat, ugly L. And he kicked it into high gear, and he ends the game with 35 points. He just has that sense, and it's not just knowing when to do it. It's also having the ability to do it. And in so many different ways. He was getting to the rim. He hit a couple pull-ups in the lane. He hit a turnaround at one point. He hit 4 or 5 threes. He was just slicing and dicing an assassin out there from all over the floor against a Wolves defense that was putting all of its best players on him because Luka could barely move. That said, we'll talk about him more. The Mavs have now won in their first 4 games of the season. Games where Luka shot 9 of 25, 5 of 22, and 10 of 27. Those are abysmal shooting nights and on high volume too, and yet they're still able to win because they're coming up with just enough defensive plays, just enough made shots from everybody else. Tonight, Kyrie made a lot of them, but they're winning as a team. This is not the Luka show. This is not Luka and the dudes. This is the guys and Luka.
Junk ball.
It's junk ball.
It's win the game. They're playing win.
They're finding a way to win.
This is not free-flowing, perfect basketball in the exact way that Jason Kidd imagines it. And I still think that will happen in time because we've seen this team every year build up and ramp up and find their rhythm and become the team that they imagine themselves to be once you get to January, to February, to March. But just winning the games right now, that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
That's what's important. And just the fact that they're winning it.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do, and that's what you have to do to get off to a quick start and a good start in all the ways that we say is really important for this team to do.
We've been talking about that plenty on this show, how deep and how talented the West is. You've got to be able to get off to a fast start to really give yourself a chance throughout the course of the regular season. Bobby, you had started to mention it, especially in the second half. Think about how that second half started. Mavs were actually up 61-59 to begin the second half. Minnesota starts off the third quarter on a 10-0 run to take an 8-point lead. In the final 9.5 minutes of that third quarter, the Mavericks outscored the Timberwolves 32-13 in that final 9.5 minutes to really take control of the game. Obviously, Kyrie Irving having a big part of that. Got to mention real quick, Quentin Grimes had a really nice game, especially in that third quarter. Hit a couple of big threes from the Mavericks as well. Starting to get comfortable a little bit. That was something that we were hoping to see as this game went on. Could Quentin Grimes make a little bit of an impact? He was able to do that as well. But that third quarter was huge for them to not only get back that momentum, but sustain it throughout the course of the game and then hang on at the end, especially in that fourth quarter.
Yeah,
there.
and I'd be remiss not to mention Anthony Edwards' first quarter was unbelievable. He had 24 points, made 6 threes. But points in the first quarter matter just as much as points in the fourth. And Daniel Gafford in the first quarter, like while Ant is just putting on this barrage for the ages, Gafford had 8 points. I think 6 of them came on just run-out dunks when he just beat Rudy back down the floor. It's very easy, especially in that gym. The Wolves have eviscerated the Mavericks in that building several times in the last few seasons. A couple too many times for my liking. It's very easy when Ant comes out looking like he did, and they, as a team, are shooting like 9,000% from three. It's very easy to be rattled and just completely fall apart, and now you're down 15, and now you're down 20 at the half, and now it's the second night of a back-to-back, and let's see what Jazz Gortman has, in the fourth quarter. But Gafford was able to give him 8 points. Everybody else was able to pitch in enough. At the end of the first quarter, instead of being down 15, you're down 8. It's a game, and all of a sudden they're able to pull it out. So, they started the game very strong on offense. 16 of their first 17 points came in the paint. Gafford had a lot to do with that, and that's really important because nobody made a jump shot, I think, until Clay made a 3 with like 3 minutes left in the first quarter.
Yeah, and Gafford did that, and then he got hurt, and he came back in the same game from a season-ending injury. He was he was like one of 4 players who got injured for the entire year, and then all of a sudden was back out on the court. It was kind of incredible.
Randall took a shot to the nose.
Yeah.
They had to stop the game because there was so much blood on the floor.
In fact, TNT have actually cut away from the game. It's like it went to black on the television screen because apparently there was so much blood on the floor that
that must have been it. But like during the time the blood was on the court, Kyrie goes down and hits 2 different threes.
Yes, that's right.
And then somebody immediately slips on that same spot. It was
Nas Reed slipped on that same.
It was a
spot
messy game, but it was messy in the most entertaining possible way. It was just everything that I love about NBA basketball, man. This is just man, it's such a great sport. You see a game like this and you look at it and you're like, there's not a better sport than this. This is the best one.
The entertainment value was off the charts, obviously, and Tim, you mentioned it during the pregame show. 3rd game in 4 nights on a home road back-to-back. It's difficult to win games in this league, but at the same time, after what was a shaky performance against Phoenix, you bounce back and get a gutsy win at home over a game Utah Jazz team, and then you come on a road in a hostile building where Anthony Edwards is going off in the first quarter. You are able to withstand that run that he made, and then you're able to really kind of bottle him up in the second half. I know injury had a little bit to do with that. Didn't look like the same player in the second half, but at the same time, a talented Minnesota Timberwolves team who had won 2 straight games themselves, they were looking to continue to build momentum in this game. The Mavericks did everything that they could and got it from the 2 guys that they needed to in the second half, especially with Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic really putting their stamp on this game. Big-time performances from this team to get a win when they needed to on the road here.
And TNT's got to be the happiest because this is the Ant effect. Like the Wolves have been thrust into all of these national TV dates. Opening night, they're at the Lakers for ring night. First Tuesday night, they're playing host to the Mavs. They're in the Christmas Day mix now. The Bucks, Bobby's Bucks, are not on the Christmas Day list.
My Bucks are below 500, by the way. It's better to be earlier than late, guys. And I was early on.
It's Ant. So tonight, this was as good a regular season game as you're going to see.
That was a great game. Great atmosphere. There was a lot of trash talk at the end. Ant was cooking at the start. That was another funny chapter for this
night that was book length for Luka is that, again, he had missed 16 of 17 threes going back to last night, makes the 40-footer, and then just uncorks all kind of unmentionables that we can't say on a family show like DLLS.
What a dumb player. And I mean dumb in the kindest complimentary.
All right, way to clean it up.
Do we think that there's a chance that the same fans who were there for game 2 were also sitting?
For sure.
Do you think he was barking at the exact same?
Maybe he saw
do you think he remembered
maybe
the
he saw
same
some
person?
faces he recognized.
Yeah. He just saw a face and he was like, I've cussed you out before. I'm going to do it again.
Mother bleep you, mother bleep that.
That is not like,
of course,
he's like, he can see every part of the court, so he can probably remember every fan he's ever cursed out.
That's the kind of player that he is. But the Mavericks finally get it done 120 to 114 on the road. Let's take our first break here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. Coming up next segment, how Kyrie Irving put his stamp on this game and what was the turning point in the third quarter, and a little bit later on, other guys that really played a big part in this game for the Mavericks to get it done against the Timberwolves. All that and more coming up next year on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. But first, let me talk to you about Z-Biotics. I have to tell you about this game-changing product that I use before a night out with drinks. It's called pre-alcohol. What is it? Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink alcohol, it gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make Z-Biotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly and you'll feel your best tomorrow. And make sure I have Z-Biotics before I go out with a night with the wife so I can get up the next day and go run and complete that honey-do list that she's got me to do on the very next day. With Z-Biotics, I'm able to complete all of that and be able to have my best day possible. I keep hearing about pre-alcohol and wonder what it was actually like. Now that I've tried it, I believe the hype, and with their GMO technology, they will release different products that help address toxic byproducts of modern living in the gut. So go to zbiotics.com/DLLS Mavs to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use code DLLS Mavs at checkout. Z-Biotics is back with a 100% money back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, which I know you won't, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Make sure you check out Z-Biotics today.
I was like 17 when I realized Honeydew List was not named after the melon.
Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Tim, our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. More than 300,000 people have rated them 5 stars. I don't want to lie, but they have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. They probably even have a pair in your favorite team's colors. Hopefully that's the Mavs or maybe even DLLS Mavs. I got a pair myself. They are awesome. Hey, if something bad happens to them, though, if I lose them, if they get damaged, Shady Rays will replace them. If you order a pair and you don't like them, you got 30 days to return them worry-free. Shady Rays will take care of you there. So exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code DLLS for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Again, promo code DLLS.
What was the turning point for the Mavericks tonight in their win over the Minnesota Timberwolves, and who else was big contributors in this win as the Mavericks get their second consecutive win as they take out the Minnesota Timberwolves here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show? I got nearly 400 people watching.
Let's
that
go.
means I need 400 likes in the on the video as
we
well.
have 400. We're over 400
Let's
now.
make a run at
So
4,000.
over
Let's make a
400,
run
so
at 1,000.
So I need at least 150 likes. I need all the likes right now. Beat the algorithm. Like, comment, and subscribe to DLLS
Anthony
Sports.
Edwards would hate if you gave this stream a thumbs up.
So make sure you give it all the thumbs up right now. I really appreciate all of you
my
hanging out with
God.
us here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. But let's talk about it, gentlemen. The turning point of this game, I think the four of us will agree, the third quarter where Kyrie Irving simply took over. We mentioned it a little bit earlier. The Mavericks got outscored 10-0 to start that third period. They end the final 9.5 minutes of that third quarter, outscoring the Timberwolves 32-13. Kyrie Irving putting his stamp on this game, especially in that third quarter. Tim, I'll start with you. What did you see from Kyrie Irving that really got him going to really get himself an opportunity to really help out the Mavs in that period there?
You know, it was Will Hardy actually yesterday before the game, his pregame press conference. He was talking about just raving about Kyrie Irving, the basketball player. Talking very technically, like, his base. There's just the base with his shoots and he plays. the triple threat stance, like is just so strong and secure. The way that he shoots, he's just like a straight up and down play. He's just so impressive. It's so genuine. Like you watch him, it's like on one hand you're like, he makes it look so easy. You wonder why you can't do it, but he also makes it look so hard that never for a million years you will ever approach the talent that Kyrie Irving has on a basketball court.
Yeah.
And in the third quarter, he was all of that. He was all of that at once. The 3-pointers. We were, up in the lounge or up in the TV bay, and every time he passed up a three, it was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, take
You've
that.
just made, 3 in a row. Why are you not shooting this? Because when Kyrie is playing like that, you just assume every shot's going in.
He almost made an 80-footer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
the
did
end of
that at
the
the end of the third quarter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
The only
nonchalantly.
thing not working right now is the left hand, which normally he's the best lefty shooter for any righty in the league.
Better than most lefties.
That's true.
Right.
That's
right.
the only thing not working right now.
He's a sensational player, and to your point, Bobby, Kyrie Irving has this ability that in the middle of a game, honestly, I don't think it's like a moment. Every second of a game, his clock, the clock, the brain, the basketball way that he processes what's happening, he's just cycling through. What does the team need? What does the team need from me right now? And it is a toggle. It's, do I need to be defensive stopper? Do I need to get the offense moving, make sure that the connection between player to player to player, that role players are touching it? Is there a specific role player on the court? Sometimes you see this with Jaden Hardy. Sometimes you see this with, I think you'll start to see it with Quentin Grimes, and you'll start to see it with Najee Marshall. And he's like, these guys, they just hit a shot. We need to get them going. Sometimes in the third quarter, Kyrie Irving, he looks around the court. His brain tells him, it is time to take over. You have to go score. This team needs points, and he can do it. That is the highest, most upper echelon of being basketball talented, is that when you realize your team needs points, you can go get them.
Yeah.
And he can't do it every second of every single possession, but when he needs to, he knows to go and do it. And he did that tonight. That's what we saw.
Mark, you made the point earlier that a lot of people try and compare Luka and Dirk. Can I try and compare Kyrie and Dirk?
Sure.
Oh, wow.
All right.
Let's hear this. Yeah.
So Dirk was always, earlier in his career, he had some athletic pop and he could take guys off the dribble. But later in his career, especially, from like 08, 09 through the finals run, that sort of his prime years, he didn't have the speed that a lot of other guys did. But what he would do is he just achieved technical mastery of the game. Pristine footwork, perfect knowledge of angles, the ability to finish around the rim despite maybe being not being as explosive or not being as quick or sometimes not even being as tall as the guys that were defending him. During that run in 2011, he was so... it was so obvious that he was thinking on a higher level than everybody else, especially like game 1 against OKC, scores 48 points on 15 shots, systematically destroyed that entire franchise in one game. Like, it was just unbelievable. It never looked like he was trying. It just looked like he knew what was going to happen. And Kyrie is that same kind of basketball mind. He's never surprised by anything. There was a play in this game, Tim, you even said after he made it, you were like, that's a good basketball shot. He comes off this high screen, 1-2 dribble to his right, pulls up from the elbow, goes up. And like before he even did the thing that he did, it was like he's going to go 1-2 dribble up from the elbow like he's done 5 million times in his life. And of course it's going to go in because he is so freaking good at basketball. Like, he knows exactly how fast to go, exactly how to stop, exactly how to achieve his balance, footwork, timing, dribble, hesitation, speed, everything. There are players that have had just as good a careers as Kyrie, guys like Russell Westbrook, for example, that have never been able to master that shot ever. Kyrie from the elbow, when he misses, I am stunned.
Yeah.
When Dirk ever missed a turnaround fadeaway, I was stunned. Like, these guys have seen everything. They've done it all. They're very good. They work very hard, and they think at a very high level. And whenever they're in the zone like that, it is just like... It just seems so
It's mesmerizing.
inevitable.
Yeah.
It's captivating, but it's also so not surprising.
Yeah.
Because you're like, he's just so good. He's just making shots.
I think the word is surgeon. That's what Dirk was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember the guy that I ran that past, like Peja Stojakovic on that team was just role player contributor. But, Peja at his peak, he was a go-to guy who scored a lot of points. And I just always remember that year how awestruck Peja was at watching Dirk. And I see where you're going with it. And I think you're right. Like Kyrie, he also is a surgeon.
He's just playing a different game.
When he starts.
It seems like he's working at a higher plane than everyone else, as you mentioned. The game never sped up for him. One of the things we've always talked about with Kyrie is that he allows the game to come to him. In this game, he had to go out and take it because his partner in crime wasn't looking very Luka-like, so he had to take over in that third quarter. Just some numbers to back that up real quick, Tim. 11 minutes in that third quarter, went 6 of 10 from the field, 4 of 6 from 3, had 2 assists, and had 16 points and was a +8 in that quarter. Kyrie Irving did a little bit of everything in that period.
How much did you pay Locked On Isaac to put in there that he likes your hat?
Thankfully,
Locked On Nick Van Exit straightened it out.
So you're talking about Kyrie and the elbow shot and Dirk and just the automatic. You know what it's like. So think of a staircase you take out. So I live in an apartment, but when I was growing up, we had a 2-story house. I knew instinctively every step of that staircase to the point that I could run up and down it, and I would know exactly where to put my feet, exactly when we hit like the little middle, section, and I could, double it, I could triple it. I knew it in my soul without even thinking about it. And to me, when I watch these guys perform in the mid-range, when I watch the like literally the peak of basketball mechanics, where they just automatically know exactly what it is every time. Like, that's the only comparison in my life that even comes close to approximating what they can do from those specific shots with a basketball in their hands. They can double a stair. They can run up the staircase 2 feet at a time, but it's an elbow jumper that scores 2 points, in the most competitive basketball league alive.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who's guarding him. It doesn't matter if it's a 7-footer or a 5-footer. He's going to do the same thing. You're not going to bother him.
Yeah.
It's like when Goku turned Super Saiyan against Frieza. And all of a sudden, Frieza's tricks weren't working. And it's like, and Goku's so unmoved by it. He's like, dude, this is over. Like, stop. Like, you're trying so hard. It's kind of like hurting my feelings. Like how hard you're trying to stop me. And it's just not working at all.
By the way, they're officially crediting Luka with a 32-footer.
Oh, on the wall.
That feels short.
It felt like it was from about 35 feet.
It's always
damn near
shorter.
St. Paul, honestly.
It's always shorter than you think.
Short. It is always shorter
but
on the stat sheet.
that feels really short.
Yeah.
That feels...
Because it was deeper than the one that hit against Gobert.
Because top of the key, if you're standing right at the top of the key, that's 26, 25. It's 26, more or less.
That was a really
25,
long
25, 9,
It was a
I think
deep
is the top
shot.
of the key. Yeah.
Let's
that felt
throw
like more than 7 feet.
Krillin on this analogy is Mike Conley, obviously. Oh, wait a minute. I guess he's got to be on the good. Never mind. He's on, Jaden Hardy.
Okay. Tanner Feynman, there it is. We got a super chat from
Let's go, Joseph.
From Joseph Vandegrift.
Joey.
How much do you think Lively's defensive presence and rim protection has improved? Shout out to the $5 super chat from Joseph Vandegrift.
Has improved. I like the framing of this because improved is like he was already at such a high level last season. We know this. If Dereck Lively went from the NBA Finals to this season and didn't improve 1 second, he'd still be a top 50 player. That's what he was. That's what he was by the time the NBA Finals ended. But he is getting better. He really is.
Yeah.
Like, we're seeing him take. They're not. Like, you look over at Paolo Banchero, and like that guy's taking a leap, like a superstar leap.
Had a 50-point night the other night. Yeah.
But quietly, Dereck Lively is taking a little bit more of a star leap every game. And it doesn't have to be a superstar leap. He's already this good. I think he is getting better. I think that you watch the Wolves try to drive in on the paint against a guy like that. You watch him. He switched. We said this on the postgame show, on the pregame show. I think he switched more than any game in his career against Utah. And he held his own every time. He was suffocating guards like Jordan Clarkson.
Yeah, Clarkson could not get around him.
And Clarkson's like the type of guard that you're like, okay, maybe that's a little bit too much. Like that's advanced level switching stuff. You're still on 101 course, or maybe you're on 201.
Yeah, and he makes a lot of hesitations and stuff, and Lively
Right.
just wasn't biting on any of that crap.
No. So absolutely, like he's getting better. Joey, Jonathan, sorry.
Joseph. Just
Joseph.
call him Joseph.
Joseph. You're right. And like this is. It's just wild. I mean, he's 20, and of course he's going to get better, but also he's getting better.
I will keep saying it. Sorry, I will just real quick. Yeah. I will keep saying it. My favorite part of Lively's season so far is that everybody is still up in arms about who's starting and who's not, and he's not. Like, he just keeps playing and he's had an impact. He has had a tangible impact on every single game. And like you said, the way it worked out tonight, I mean, Gafford's first quarter was very important. I mean, they don't win this game without him keeping them in the game offensively in the first quarter. So
Lively tonight, a very quiet 5-9, 1 block, 3 steals. Ho hum.
But still felt impactful, very impactful in this game. Based on what he was able to do.
That's been his least impressive stat line so far this season.
He still was very, very important in this game as the Mavericks get it done on the road against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Coming up next here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show, more on who else contributed to this win as the Mavericks were able to get their second road win as they take out, or their second win in a row, I should say, as they take out the Minnesota Timberwolves. All that and more coming up next year on the DLLS Mavs postgame show.
Let's talk about Game Time, the best ticketing app out there, period, point blank. If you need tickets for, let's be honest, just about anything.
Melt tomorrow, Club Dada.
Yeah, if you need tickets for Melt tomorrow, a definitely real band that totally exists. Is it a band or is that like a comedian?
It's a band.
Well, Bobby, since you chimed up, let me ask, did you use Game Time's new feature?
They got so many that I don't even know what you're talking about.
Well, Game Time tip picks, obviously.
What is that?
It's a feature that makes getting tickets for your favorite live event even easier. It filters out the fluff and to show you only incredible deals on great seats for Melt, a real thing apparently. So you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets because there's definitely thousands of people trying to see Melt. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code DLLS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but again, create an account and redeem code DLLS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it?
Game time?
Ooh.
Come on, Stein. You got to get with it, man. You got to get with it, man.
He's wearing that hat.
Well.
Oh, sorry. Are you the only one on the show allowed to wear hats?
All right. Can I do my read,
Do your
please?
read.
You may.
I'm about to take both y'all's hats off and throw them on the Empire Today flooring
Hey, look
here
at
in the
you.
studio.
Yes.
And if I wanted to change the floor, now Empire Today did put the flooring in here, our friends at Empire Today here at the DLLS studios in Dallas. But if I wanted to change it, what would I do? Would I really want to go to a store, go to a physical store, and get ripped off by some random guy that was working in a different industry yesterday? No, I would want to talk to pros. And I would want to do it on my own time, conveniently, where I use my floors. So I'm going to take a picture of the floor and use their virtual floor designer to see what the new floor would look like in this room with this lighting on different times of day, in my sweatpants, in my jammies, feeling real comfortable.
They're Mavs jammies, aren't they?
I don't have any. I have Mavs sweatpants, but I do not have Mavs pajamas. So save yourself the frustration, save yourself the trouble, make it convenient, and make it with people that you trust. Our friends at Empire Today. Schedule a free in-home estimate with them now. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use promo code DLLS. Restrictions apply. See EmpireToday.com/DLLS for details.
Who else were big contributors in this game as the Mavericks win over the Minnesota Timberwolves for their second consecutive win as they complete their home road back-to-back with wins over the Jazz and the Timberwolves? Let's get to a couple more super chats here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. We'll start with our guy, Ben Selheim, the $1.99 super chat. Dollar holla for the win. Shout out to you, Ben.
Shout out, Ben.
Dollar bills, y'all.
Dollar bills, y'all. That's
We
another
love
song.
most Bens on this podcast.
Including, yes, we do have to do this one.
Yes, do it.
From our GM, Ben, for the $1.99 super chat. Quote, Cato, what is your favorite melt song?
Say sour
So,
candy. Say sour candy.
I was gonna say "Plant the Garden." It's one of their newer
That's
songs.
a great song.
And it's
I've
a great
actually
song.
given that to you.
Yeah, it's a good song,
Let's
and I
go.
enjoy
Look
it.
at this.
It's quite nice. Sour Candy, look, is their most popular song, but it's popular for a reason. So I'm a fan of that.
It's popular for a reason because it's good.
I will say,
You know they
back,
can see you reading off your laptop.
Go back to Waves.
I like
no,
this.
I
style.
did.
Waves
I
is a-
like this version right
did.
here.
I did play
Stein.
Plant the Garden
They
for you.
are actually saved in my
That's
Spotify
right.
album.
That's a good.
In my
and
Spotify
Fake
library.
Romantic is a good song.
But,
Their album is
Fake
good.
Romantic, also a really good song. But don't overlook Waves.
Wow.
It's a slightly deeper cut of theirs, but great band. And Ben, you should check them out as well. After you finish listening to us talk about role players
I
on the
wanna-
Mavericks from this win tonight.
Before we do that, I don't know exactly how the super chat functionality works. So explain that as if I'm 5.
So you have a chance to put in a comment. You can pay however much money you want to have your comment up for.
Our
So
show's preference is we don't care what dollar figure you put at the front, but put 77 or 41. Make
If
it a
you're-
little Mavs themed if you feel like it.
if you're so inclined.
Yeah. It's a good bit we've got going on. I want to keep it going.
But the more money you pay, the longer your comment stays up on the screen. So if you pay like $10, for example, it would be left up for example like 3 or 4 minutes.
What is the record for a super chat comment? Do we know?
On Cowboys, they've gotten $100.
I think
Two-
DNVR,
What? Oh,
yeah.
DNVR after the championship, after the Nuggets won the championship, something like $300 or $400.
They got
Yeah.
500 one.
500,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway,
So
there's still a lot more game to talk about.
that is how
I don't-
super
I don't
chats
wanna-
work here on DLLS.
I'm usually the
Sports.
guy derailing the show, but I still want to talk about this game really
We
badly.
got a
Yeah.
lot to talk about
Yeah.
because I know folks have been jumping in the chat as well. They say, hey, you got to shout out this one guy. And for the second game in a row, PJ Washington Jr.
Yes.
had a really nice game. 32 minutes, goes 7 of 13 from the field, goes 3 of 6 from downtown, had 17 points, had 8 rebounds, had 3 assists and a steal as well. PJ Washington putting together back-to-back games. Really nice effort on both ends of the floor, Bobby, as he was able to have an impact on both ends the way that he needed to and the way that the Mavericks are asking him to based on his role on this team.
Yeah, so his last 2 games, 29 points, 19 rebounds. He had 4 offensive rebounds tonight. 5 assists, 5 steals, 2 blocks, 3 turnovers. It's pretty dang good. Tonight he had the tall task, and we talked about it before the game. I said Ant is obviously really good, but I'm more worried about Julius Randle. His sleeper, more than less than, was 21.5, and he actually got less than that. He was 7 of 13, but PJ, I thought, did a pretty good job of pushing Randle to the perimeter. Randle had a couple dunks, I think, in transition, but he didn't really have a lot of stuff around the rim in the half court that I remember. A lot of it was jumpers, a couple trips to the free throw line. And PJ not very often is going to be matched up against guys that are about his height, but that are much stronger than him. Normally we're used to seeing him defend like taller, skinny guys like Wemby, for example, where he can get into them, or wings that might be his kind of physique. Randle is a really, really interesting matchup, tough one, and he was able to hold his own there. And, I mean, he was great on offense, too. Another guy, Mark, who, early in the game, Gafford got it going. Luka was struggling. Kyrie was kind of ramping up. And PJ, came out of the gates pretty hot as well.
I'm not a shot doctor. This is not a theory that I can tell you is 100% certain, correct, but it did seem like the 3 3-pointers that he knocked down, just the rhythm was slightly different about them. Like one of them was kind of a loose ball that kind of ran out to him, and another one was I want to say it was sort of a pull up, but it was just something about that little hop he's doing especially on the corners. You'll see it on the corners, and so there's different theories and really preferences about how shooters shoot, and PJ has really committed to the hop. So every time he catches a pass, he's open in the corner, he's about to shoot a catch and shoot 3, he really commits to the hop. And so as he's catching, both feet are kind of coming up and then coming down, and it's supposed to be in a simultaneous motion. He has been bricking those shots through the first 3 games, still missed a couple more corner threes. I still genuinely believe there's a shooter in there somewhere. He's been a near 40% guy, the first, we all know this about him. He was a much better shooter for a couple seasons, and then something happened. And so I don't know what it's going to take to fully unlock that, but I do believe that can be unlocked. And I just want to say the shot looks a little bit better when he's not so static and so, just fundamental stationary in the corner. And I know usually fundamental is like a good thing to hear about a jumper. There's just something about a shot. So
Yeah.
chime in. This is
He's
like
gotta
half
stop
of the
thinking.
theory.
Just go out there and shoot.
It might just be that too.
Yeah, play-
sometimes it is just that.
Yeah, shoot with confidence, shoot with rhythm. You're going to get a lot of wide open looks, not a lot of thought into it. Go out there and play with the kind of confidence that's just going to be instilled in you from Luka, from Kyrie, from Klay Thompson. You're going to have a lot of opportunities, PJ, to be able to knock down some really important shots. And let's think about it. Go back to the second quarter real quick, because we mentioned the run that the Mavericks made when they went down. Then when the Timberwolves had a 10-0 run to start the third quarter. Let's go back to the second quarter. Mavs were down 42-32 with 8:46 left in that second quarter. They proceed to go on what would be a 24-7 run to be able to get themselves a lead. PJ Washington, a big part of that. He had 8 points, 2 3-pointers. PJ Washington, Luka Doncic, and Kyrie Irving combined for 23 of the Mavericks' 35 points in that period. PJ Washington getting involved with the other two big players in this game and making an impact. Those are the kinds of things from PJ that you've got to be able to see consistently night in and night out, because he's going to have plenty of opportunities to make those kinds of impacts in a game like this, and he did it.
I mean, look, I'm guessing you wanted to talk about Grimes separately, but just the fact that
Yeah.
PJ hit 3 and Grimes hit 3
Yeah.
is massive. And Dinwiddie, he's the only other player outside the big three to make a 3 tonight. But of course, that was on the end of the amazing Luka over the
He
head
made
pass.
the
Better make
one
that.
he had to make.
Better make
So,
that.
so, so this is a team
You
that,
got to
like,
choose one, make that
last night, the shooting struggles of this team were a huge talking point after that game. And like I said, I really didn't expect them to land in Minneapolis at 2:30 and in an early tip-off game against a very good Timberwolves team. I didn't expect this kind of bounce back, and that is certainly one of the key elements of this game, that they got some outside shooting from some of these other guys because they've been desperate for it. And
Grimes was huge, and we've been desperate for that. He hadn't made a 3 all season before tonight.
Yeah, so I mean, PJ's 3 threes, Grimes 3 threes. I mean, if the list of factors to get this win would probably have to go 10 deep, but I think that's pretty high up there.
Dallas needed that. They've been crying out for somebody off the bench to score more than 5 points and score like from the perimeter, score in a way that is not an extension of Luka just feeding Lively because Lively is coming off the bench. But Grimes, I really liked Grimes' game tonight. I thought that there's some mistakes, but this is going to be a player for the team. This is going to be a guy who stays, he's a top 8 rotation guy the entire year, and I think he's only going to keep building on his performances. A couple games ago, he got 5 minutes, and circumstantial. It's just kind of what happened in the game, but being able to just see when he's out there, you're like, that's why he's out there. Mm-hmm. I think Dallas needed a little bit more of that. They were waiting for it. They were expecting it to happen. We were expecting it to happen. In the many kind words that we've said about Quentin Grimes over, the course of this show. And I stand by all that stuff. I think he's going to be one of the most important players, certainly role players for this team. And he was tonight. That was much, much, much closer to the player that I envisioned and that we described was coming to the Mavericks, and the many times that we talked about what he would bring to this team.
One other guy that made a big play off the bench, Najee Marshall, at the end of the game.
Yes.
Looked a little ugly earlier in the game and got stuffed on a floater and airballed a layup somehow and missed a 3, and it was just kind of Then comes in, the Mavs are up 4. Kyrie goes 0 for 2, inexplicably goes 0 for 2 at the free throw line.
That was unreal.
With the game on the line. Wolves come away with the rebound, and we're like, are you serious right now? Like, they're gonna find a way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory? And no. Anthony Edwards tries to cross over Najee, and Najee's got big, strong hands. He is the best turnover-forcing player on this team. He's the only guy on this team that can just pick someone's pocket clean like that. And he comes up with a huge defensive play, gets fouled, makes both free throws. And that's your final score is 121-14. I mean, that was a huge play.
We probably have no way to look this up in the middle of a show, but Kyrie Irving doesn't often go 0 for 2 at the line.
I was just thinking that.
Especially in that situation.
Hey, Bobby, you want to send me your stat head login?
I can.
Yeah. Well, so there's a Charlie XCX song that says sympathy is a knife, but I just don't really get it because there's not a lot of sympathy that Najee's giving to opposing ball handlers.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. Great song, though. Great album.
To you guys' point,
Still Brad Summer to me.
The knife.
The Timberwolves had 20 turnovers on tonight as well. So again, forcing the issue to be able to create some havoc. Naji Marshall with the biggest steal of the game, and then going to the free throw line himself and knocking down a couple of free throws to be able to seal it for the Mavericks to get this road win over the Minnesota Timberwolves as they get it done 120-114 over Anthony Edwards and company on the road. Let's take our final break here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. Our final word and thoughts on this game tonight as the Mavericks get back-to-back wins last night against Utah and then, of course, tonight against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Your thoughts as well. Continue to throw those in the chat, and we'll read those throughout the final segment of our show here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show.
It would be a vent finder, yeah. You got to talk
But
about
first, you should become a diehard.
Sorry, we're looking up the last time Kyrie's missed two
Maybe-
free throws on the same trip.
How about this? I'll be able to find how many times in Kyrie Irving's career he's gone over 2 from the free throw line, and I'll share it with the diehards on the diehard only Discord. How about that? That's one extra treat.
Look at that.
One extra perk for becoming a diehard. And right now, we are running a limited time introductory offer. And folks, when I say limited time, I mean limited time introductory offer. It's $4 a month to become a diehard. When you do, you get a free shirt. Here's what else you get. You also get access to our entire website, including all the paywalled content. Right after we finish this show, I'm going to go home and relax and write 3 big takeaways from this game, including some videos, some films, some stats, some good
Could be
stuff.
as many as you want.
It could be as many as I want, but I promise you tonight it's going to be 3. They played last night too, Tim.
I did 4 last night.
And we got folks covering all the other pro teams in town. We got more teams coming on the way as well. You also get to join that diehard only Discord. You get a discount on our merch, discount on all events, all sorts of bennies, all sorts of bennies.
Here the bennies come.
I need y'all to stop making fun of me when I say bennies. That's a
Bennies
real
on
word.
a night of Sellies.
That's a real thing, right?
Hey, look again. I like this Mark tonight. I like what's going on here.
You see Ardell in the chat doing GM Ben's job, saying you hit the 45-minute break right on the
Professional.
Let's go. Ardell is a diehard. Ardell is a real
He is
true
a
diehard.
diehard,
We
yes.
got Ben diehard in the chat. Different Ben GM. I'm sure Ben GM is also a diehard and with us here because our livelihood is on the line.
There's a GM Ben imposter already.
No. We got Ben Selheim. So we got diehard. Ben.
I was gonna say if that would go too far if we got GM Ben impersonators in the chat.
No. Maybe who knows?
Yeah, I'm sure I just jinxed it now.
Oh
That's
my
a good
God.
idea.
I'm sure
Allow
I
me.
just jinxed it.
AllDLLS.com. Yes. We know what we're doing here.
Yep.
AllDLLS.com/diehard. Become a diehard member today. Get that physical diehard card. Show it off. Tag us on social media. We'll shout you out and let us know that you become part of our DLLS sports family.
We still got 15 minutes left, and we've got stuff to say. But if you guys have questions or comments or things about you noticed about the game, pop it in the live chat right now.
Let's go.
Tonight is a night for the people. They should
love
get the floor.
to throw some questions, some comments up on the screen and react to them, to talk about them, to answer them if we possibly can. Yeah, throw them up. It's the night of the people. We are for the people.
You're right,
Well, they
man.
are about 15 seconds behind.
I
so.
do need to make an appearance.
Yeah, it's not going to be instantaneous.
Yeah.
But yeah. Like, pop them in. You're probably just now hearing me start my thing, and yeah.
Shout out to Ben. I do need to get into the wrestling Discord a little bit more because there's a lot of big stuff happening. I'm going to
That
WrestleMania
is a new channel in there.
in April. It's a new one? Oh, yeah, I'm going to definitely be in that wrestling Discord for sure. Let us know how you're feeling about how the Mavericks got it done. Our final word on how the Mavericks were able to finish it off against the Minnesota Timberwolves. I got nearly 450 people watching. I need more likes. I need 200 likes before we end our show. So if you can get me 200 likes, get them in there right now.
Oh, Dirk's back.
Shout out to Dirk.
Shout out Dirk.
Shout out to
I
Dirk.
bet that's actually Dirk.
No, it's probably not actually
No,
Dirk.
it is. I just texted him. Just kidding.
Of
I'm
course.
not the person in this panel.
I thought you were the Dirk
could possibly do that.
Nowitzki of journalism, but never mind. Let us know what you're thinking on what the Mavericks were able to do. Yeah, exactly. Get in here. Get those likes up.
Wait. Oh, we do have to answer the Ben one.
What is it?
Wow.
He asked. No, I mean, who did this? Was this GM Ben? But he asked whose picture is in the personality. The Tim Cato the Tim Cato DLLS Sports personality of the day. Kevin, should I do the honors? Tanner,
Wow.
hey Tanner, yeah, Tanner, come show. It's
that hideous.
we're zooming in, but it's a statue that
I'll keep it.
yeah.
It's the hideous statue of Dwayne Wade out in front of
Hey,
in
Dirk
Miami.
just said it is Dirk, so.
There he is.
Yeah, so that must be true.
Right, exactly. He's the one that sabotaged the entire statue of Dwayne Wade. We don't have to promote
Is
Dwayne
it
Wade
true
on
that
this
it was
show.
the same guy who did the Dirk statue?
Yes, Omri Amrani.
He was part of the
Now
yes.
the caveat is there were 2 sculptors on the Dwayne Wade statue, and there was only one on the Dirk Nowitzki statue. So the other sculptor, we don't know exactly who did who, but I mean, I've been astounded at how much these guys have talked. Like Wade and the sculptor have openly discussed and fielded questions about the fact.
I mean, they
that
see how they get dragged on social media about this.
There was 2
Like-
people. There was 2 people on the statue. I think that's just a lesson that teamwork is bad. Always, you're a lone wolf.
Or just let the guy that
The
did
only
Dirk
person you can
statue
trust
do it
in
all
life.
by himself next time.
I'll run down
who
a
you
couple
are.
while Tanner's still getting the camera squared away. Whose picture? Okay, so when is Bobby going to get into Overwatch so he can play with Luka? I'm not a big shooter guy. I'm all in on Pokemon Unite right now. I also set my new personal best all-time Blitz chess rating earlier today. I got my ELO to 1981, so I'm pretty fired up on that.
congratulations.
Can I read
Look at
one?
you.
Pretty fired up on that. Yeah.
Abdullah just asked thoughts on the Mavs defense, and I think the cohesion is not quite there yet. In the playoff run, really in both playoff runs, few seasons ago when they went to the conference finals, there was such a just moving as one, moving on a string. The rotations were so crisp and clean. All of those adjectives that you love to associate with a good NBA defense. That's not quite there yet. And I wouldn't say it's any specific person. I would just say that it takes a while for Dallas to really instill its zone-ish help principles that they play with. And when you're bringing in 3 totally new players, rotation players into the mix, and even it's not just the new players. Even when you're bringing in players who, like Luka, haven't played an NBA, haven't played a professional competitive basketball game in 4 months, it's just going to take a while to get up to speed. So I would say that the Mavs defense is doing enough, and that they are showing signs that this is not going to be a bottom 10 unit. Just because they lost Derrick Jones, just because they're replacing a lot of Derrick Jones minutes with Klay Thompson, who is a worse defender, objectively a worse defender. Although Klay has been, in my opinion, pretty good.
He's been battling. That's the thing. They've been.
Yeah.
That Phoenix game aside, there was not a lot of fight in that Phoenix game.
I would agree.
We bemoaned that, but they've been fighting for 3 games.
And they're getting stops when they need to get stops. And early on in the season, when you're trying to find a way to still win basketball games, can you get the stops that you need to in order to find a way to pull out these games? And that's exactly what they were able to do against Utah. They were able to do it tonight, Bobby, with the example, of course, of Najee Marshall getting a critical steal to be able to seal it at the end after knocking down a couple of free throws. As this team continues to find their way with their new personnel, continuing to find ways to get it done on both ends of the floor when it matters most in those times was huge. And to the example that I want to bring this up because, Klay Thompson has been as good as advertised so far in the first few games. It was fun to see his teammates pick him up tonight after only going 2 of 7 from the field and both of his field goals being from the three-point line, had just 7 points in this game. Klay Thompson has been really good through the first few games. His teammates were there for him tonight to really be able to pick him up. And no bigger example than that when we mentioned earlier in terms of P.J. Washington and how he was able to step up in this game. Yeah.
With Klay, you're not wrong to say pick him up, but it's not like Klay had a bad game.
No, I'm not saying he had a bad game at all.
Yeah. This was just a night where the shots didn't come as easily, and Minnesota made a bigger point to scheme him out of the game. And so he ended up taking he took 7 shots.
Yeah.
All threes, 2 of 7. And I thought that he was fine, and that's just how it's going to be sometimes. But yeah, him being there on defense, him battling on defense, that's important. I would say, so where's the number? Dallas, through 4 games, is ranked 9th in the NBA in defense. I would say they have been average in execution thus far. They have been above average in results because they played some bad teams who have not punished them. But I have also seen the workings, the ability for this team to be, if not top 10, then close to there, if everything clicks all at once. And I think that's all you're asking.
20 Wolves turnovers tonight.
Yeah, your first 20 turnovers tonight. You put the pressure on them.
Dallas absolutely caused a bunch of them. So, Utah was not that impressive offensively. San Antonio was, I almost did the Bobby thing where I wanted to swear really
Okay,
badly.
I've never done it. All
Yeah,
right, on
yeah.
on mic.
Well, but
Kyrie Irving tonight.
San Antonio was
Kyrie Irving
was a
tonight.
train wreck. But
This is a quote relayed from the Dallas Morning News, Mike Curtis, who was on the scene in Soda tonight.
great dude.
Kyrie
Good
Irving,
reporter.
quote, "We have the best rim protection in the league."
Ooh,
That is a real quote, not
quite
made
a
up.
claim. Quite a claim going up against the team
Yeah, I was
that they
gonna
just
say.
went up against.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Three real quick. One, this is from. I lost the question. Oh, Robbie asks, how many games did the Mavs win last year when they gave up at least 19 3-pointers made? They went 2-3 in such games.
Okay.
So pretty rare occasion. Mark, Robbie also asks your thoughts on Rodri winning.
How
the
about Rodri?
Ballon
Was the exact question.
d'Or. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Ballon d'Or.
And
Ballon
then
d'Or.
Ballon d'Or. And then also we got a lot of people trying to figure out what's your favorite Pokemon.
I don't even know what that means.
There's no
Zero
shot you
chance.
don't know what that
I've
means.
heard of
you're not gonna-
Pokemon.
you're not
I've
gonna
heard
help
of
figure it out.
Do you know what the
I've
word
heard of-
favorite means?
I've heard of Pokemon. I don't know what that, but like,
So you know what the confusion was? You said favorite Pokemon, but you spelled it with an O, and he's so Brit coded that he only acknowledged.
I saw someone else asking there,
OU.
what is your favorite Pokemon
This-
character? And unless Pokemon is a character unto itself, I don't know any Pokemon
Just say
You mean to
characters.
tell me if you
Just
saw
say
a
Pikachu.
Pikachu walking down
Yeah.
the street, you would not be able to
Charizard?
Yeah.
No.
Charmander.
Your default answer will be Pikachu, no matter what.
Charmeleon.
Pikachu?
Mewtwo.
I mean, I guess I've seen it, but I didn't know that's
All right,
what
that's
it's
good
called.
enough. That's good enough.
Whoa!
That's good enough. No, that's good
Rayquaza.
enough. He's seen it before. That's good enough.
I've seen it as an emoji on Twitter.
Cool. Cool. That's cool. That,
Oh
that
my
works.
God.
That
Orbital
works.
Hub, who said, "How would you describe each player's role in 2 sentences?" That sounds like a good Friday topic.
Two
might-
sentences.
That might take.
That's
a.
verbose.
I think
Yeah,
we're
give us
running
some
out of
time to
time.
think about that.
Yeah. I think we're running out of time to do that. But
throw Jim's.
we got a
chat up
Friday
there real quick.
afternoon show.
Can I just say, so you guys all have an instinctive favorite Pokemon character?
no, but I know a lot of them.
Squirtle.
I do love Rayquaza.
And yes, Jim, this is a Bluey shirt.
I might
I
be
am
too
in
old.
my
I might be
bandit
too old
era
for this show.
Yes,
Never too
it's a
old.
Bluey shirt.
You're never too old for this show, and you're never too old to play Pokemon.
And you're never
That's
too
one of the
old.
beautiful things about it. Can I just say a quick thing?
Yes.
Whenever Pokemon Go was like first coming out, it was really popular. But there's still a lot of people that play. And every time I ever go to like an event, like a park or any sort of place where a lot of people are gathering to play, it's people of all ages. It's people of all abilities, of all genders, of all everything. Like it is just, it's a beautiful thing.
We
it's
approve this message.
It really is the uniting force in the world. Pokemon 2024. I love Pokemon.
I'm Bobby Corella, and I approve this message.
The uniting,
That's a better joke than the one I had in my head.
force of the world.
It is. It's the only thing everyone can agree on. Pokemon rules.
Yes, for those that are asking if this is a Bluey shirt, I'm a Bluey super fan. I'm trying to get the sponsorship from Bluey Official TV on Twitter. Yep. I have a 7-year-old daughter. Yep. See, you are my 4-year-old daughter's new favorite podcaster. Shout out
Let's
to you,
go.
Jim. That's what I'm talking about. We are all just one big happy family here, and my family's a Bluey family as well. So shout out to you, Jim.
Jim
Appreciate you, man.
Jr.
What?
Well, Gemma. Probably be Gemma.
How about
Oh
you just
my
call him
God.
Jim
Daughter.
Cook? We
No,
was-
I'm saying his daughter's name.
Okay.
You know?
Oh,
Yeah.
you just made that up on the
Daughter
fly?
probably just has a name.
Yeah, probably
I'd say, what?
probably has a name that isn't Jim, but you never know. You never know.
I need 200
Jim's
likes.
like gender neutral.
I'm at 175. I need 200 in the last 3 minutes before we get out of here on our show. Final thoughts on this game. Mavericks earned back-to-back wins last night at the American Airlines Center, tonight in Minnesota in the Western Conference Finals rematch. Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving especially. Shout out to Oscar. Blue is better than Pokemon, Bobby. I don't know how you feel about that. But
I have,
anyway,
I have no opinion on Bluey.
Oscar,
can I
this
bring
is-
it back to basketball?
yes,
though? I'll follow
please.
up on your basketball
Yes,
point.
you got it.
So, winning on the road again is very hard to do, and you have to do it. You have to win some of these games against the best teams in the league and the best teams, especially in your conference, for tiebreaker purposes. The Mavs now have 5 games at home. Their next 5 games are at home,
Woo-hoo!
which could
Is
be
it really
good.
that many?
Yeah,
Yes,
it's 5 in a row.
yeah.
It could be
I
good
should
to
know the
get a little
schedule
bit of rest, to avoid travel. It could be good to try and find some rhythm and all that stuff, but these games are going to be tough. It's Houston. It's Magic Pacers back-to-back. It's the Bulls who exist, and it is the Suns again before you go on the road
That's
for a
right.
little bit. So this is going to be a tough 5-game
I'll be on that
homestand.
road trip, by the way.
Who's the Monday night opponent at 8:45? Is that Pacers?
Indiana.
Indiana Pacers.
8:45 p.m. game on a Monday night. I don't understand why the world is the way it is sometimes, but you know what? We're going to do our job. We're going to be here providing you the best pre and post coverage
gonna
in
do
the,
it
in the
well,
whole
too.
universe. But I say all that to say, homestands are good opportunities, but these are going to be 5 really, really tough games. And so it was good to see them eke out a couple sluggish ones in back-to-back nights, especially on the road against a good team. We all know there's another level that this team can go to. Hopefully Luke is able to play in all these games, and the injury is just like a soreness thing or whatever. We'll find out more, I guess. But like, this is a good opportunity for them to figure things out.
I'm going to go back to the term that I brought up at the start of the show, junk ball. It's just a great term. Ben Collins actually texted me that. Shout out Ben Collins, big Mavs fan. But you all might know who he is. This team is 3-1. They're 3-1 in a way that, after this result, I would consider an impressive 3-1. And this is not their best basketball. And the team knows it. Last night, we were talking to Kyrie after the game, and he said that this team has not fully re-embraced or regained its championship habits. Mm-hmm. There is a better Dallas Mavericks basketball team this iteration that we have not seen yet. And despite that all, the team's 3-1. It's a great start to the season for them, and there's only up to go.
Hopefully.
Mavericks get it done 120 to 114 against the Minnesota Timberwolves. They are now 3-1 on the season. They have the day off tomorrow, and as Bobby said, their next 5 games at the American Airlines Center. Based on the way that they played, you would be happy with a 3-1 start. That's exactly where the Mavericks are after they get it done. Kyrie Irving's big second half powering the Mavericks to that win. Really appreciate you all joining us here on our DLLS Mavs postgame show. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe to DLLS Sports. We are off tomorrow, but we'll be back on Thursday here on DLLS Sports.
No fire alarm tonight.
That's right, on DLLS Mavs. That's good. We're going to get out of here.
Well, again, fire, it already took out the alarm. This time, it made a mistake last time.
We're all good.
This time, it went straight for the alarm before it could even sound.
We're all good. So for our National and Mavericks NBA insider, Marc Stein, our Mavericks analyst, Bobby Carell, our Mavs beat writer, Tim Cato, I'm your man, Kevin Gray. Mavericks get it done 120-114 over the Minnesota Timberwolves. Really appreciate you joining us here on the DLLS
Love
Mavs
all of you. We got almost to
show.
500 people. That was awesome.
We'll
that was
talk
awesome.
to y'all later. Shout out to y'all. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.